Hi, everyone. I'll give you a moment to connect to sound. Hello, and welcome to the Broken Rails 1183rd New Social Environment. I'm Min, a Programs Associate here at the Rail, and I have the pleasure and privilege of being your MC today for a conversation featuring Atelier dell'Errore and Ginevra de Blasio. And now I'll introduce today's guest and host. Atelier dell'Errore is an artist collective dedicated to visual arts and performance based in Reggio Emilia, Italy. Founded in 2002 by the artist Luca Santiago Mora, who today leads the group of 12 neurodivergent artists as their artistic director. The collective practice spans drawing, painting, sculpture, photography, and performance. They are guided by two core rules. Animals are their only subject matter, and during the creative phase, nothing is ever erased, preserving the transformative potential of every so-called mistakes. And our host today, Ginevra de Blasio, is a writer and curator from Rome, now based in New York. She graduated with a BA in art history and visual culture from the University of Exeter and has an MA in visual arts administration from NYU. Ginevra has curatorial and work experiences at the Drawing Center, Performa, Fondazione Corsini, 99 Canal, and Paula Cooper Gallery. Currently, she is involved in multiple projects and serves as a research assistant to Adam Weinberg, director emeritus of the Whitney Museum of American Art. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Ginevra, to get us started.
Thank you so much, Min, for the introduction and to the Brooklyn Rail for hosting and organizing this, and obviously to the whole collective. I will start before dealing with the nits and grits of the atelier, just by very quickly running through my own experience in engaging with the exhibition that is currently on at Kaufmann Repetto. And I have to say that the exhibition is really a transformative journey in which your understanding and emotions for the works really mutates as you, let's say, encounter them and understand them throughout the show. So at first, it can feel a little bit disorienting and almost unsettling because you encounter these creatures that defy any immediate understanding, and it can almost be disturbing in a way. But at the same time, these creatures really, open up a level of curiosity in you, and you are really like pushed to wanting to learn more about it. So as soon as, one starts to learn more about the context of the atelier, it really becomes an very like an entering into this way of seeing, this very particular way of seeing the world, which is so vibrant, and it has this contrast between organic familiarity in its forms, but also unexpected twists. And the contrast continues to live in between, let's say, the context of the atelier that we will soon speak about, but also the incredible meticulous care for the attention to details in the rendering of these works. So I think I will pass now the word to Luca, which is the artistic director of the collective, and for him to speak a bit more about the context of the collective in a bit more detail.
Thank you very much, Ginevra, for your moving introduction, and thank you, Min, for having us. And Atelier dell'Errore is, first of all, a weird name, translatable in English as Atelier of Mistakes. I founded the project Atelier dell'Errore in 2002 as a visual workshop dedicated to neurodivergent or neuroatypical children treated by the public health services in Reggio Emilia, on the west of Bologna, and in Bergamo, in the north of Milan. Um, some in 2015, after 12 years of work, some of the many young people who have participated for free and for years working all together in the workshop, having turned 18, asked me to continue their their artistic practices and to become some way professional artist. And from this urgent desire, the collective was born. And 3 years later, in 2018, the artist collective was established as a non-profit cooperative art studio in which all the artists are hired by the cooperative, me too, obviously, and completely autonomous from the public services. And since the beginning of the artist collective has been hosted by the Collezione Marmotte, that is one of the most important private contemporary art collection in Italy, and we are so proud to be there. And we are so proud also because we didn't ask help to the European community, to the government, but also we self-financed ourselves by the sale of our artworks and with the professional collaboration with professional studios as architecture studio and fashion studios. The two ground rules of the Atelier dell'Errore are few and clear: animals and mistakes. No one mistake can be erased during the artistic process, but only built upon, because every so-called mistake must be valued, and animals are the only subject depicted is the only one theme of the atelier, the only subject depicted in our artwork. So you could say we are still drawing animals for 23 years. Can you imagine this huge archive we have just not far away from here? Animals that obviously no one has ever seen.
Absolutely. And I know that one of the main components of your collective is also these like made up creatures. No, I wouldn't say creatures, but the
But you can
nicknames
see later.
that
They are
you
not
also
only drawing, they have a soul.
the made
Exactly.
up nicknames in your, let's say, collective too. So you started also bringing the imagination within the group. So I know that you are, for example,
Garibaldi.
Garibaldi.
Yes, and my
Garibaldi.
wife, the chairman is Anita, obviously, because we try to unify all the group and all the families, because also the families are an important factor of this collective. Because here work all the guys, all the artists, but the family are so important because they have to believe in this project. And so during the story of the atelier, I've lost some great artists only because the family they didn't believe in our project, didn't trust in us, and so the families are so important in our collective and also in our cooperative. This
This
is
is
the
an image.
this is the Collezione Maramotti. We are on the third floor. We have a huge workshop, and it helps us to continue and to be completely self-financed. And here are some of our guys working. One of the characteristic of our artworks that is that they are every time collective work, in the sense that are complex works, and there are a lot of steps, and each one of the crew is in a certain way specializing in his step, and this is comparable as a Renaissance workshop. But
Absolutely, but every time it's unique in its own form. So they're not stuck to a specific task, but it can evolve through time,
yeah,
correct?
yes, exactly. And here we can see our performer because we have also a performing section in the atelier. And maybe it's time to introduce our special guest. What do you think, Ginevra?
I think it's a great idea.
Because, because I'm so honored to introduce you to our best performer of the Atelier dell'Errore that will present you all the other components of the crew. So we have here, especially tonight, it's not night for you, Nicole Domenichini. Please come here, Nicole.
Fuck you all!
Right.
I am Nikki Baxter. I am Nicola Manichini,
Also
aka
known as Nikki Baxter.
also known as Nikki Baxter. Probably you have already seen me if you have watched Poor Things. I was the double stunt of Emma Stone for the sex scenes. And actually, she was really ashamed of filming those scenes, so they call me.
And to complete the scene, I can introduce you Matteo Morescalchi, also known as
The gamer. I've been playing video games since I was 5 years old. You can make that free if you count Elmo Learns to Count.
We're not here to talk about your gaming life. Nobody gives a shit about your video
Change the
game
image.
interest.
Change the image.
Yeah, we should probably move on to the introducing the crew. Isn't that right?
Yeah,
I think it's
Yes.
that's the crew, guys.
Yes, all the members for Atelier. And I think it's only appropriate if we begin talking about the Holy Trinity.
The Trinity of the Queens, like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
Next meme.
Next one, please.
The first one we're talking about is
This is our golden champion, our Cristiano Ronaldo, Giorgia Ballabeni, aka GB7. If Ronaldo is known in the football world as CR7 or CR7, that's why we call her GB7 or GB7. She's our golden champion.
yes, and she's a woman of very few words and very little patience. But when it comes to detail and artwork, she is absolutely unmatched. You can see, for example, behind us, Nikki, what an example of her works, which are these beautiful hatchings that are very integral to a lot of our artworks. She always adds them at the end, and they're a vital part of what makes the Atelier style the Atelier. And moving on to the next member.
This is the second member, but not less important, of the Trio of the Queens, Giulia Gaiti, aka Mozzi.
Yes.
The queen of hair, of body hair, of course. She seems all cute, cuddly, and tender, even edible, but we don't want to emulate Hannibal Lecter because she seems edible like a mozzarella. But deep down, she has her cooling strength that can break your bones and kill you. And over than a secret lesbian attraction for me, but she'll never admit it. She's our LGBTQ plus pride flag.
Yes, and she's also the expert at creating the beautiful furs that you can see on some of our creatures. Of course, you're not going to see it on the Unknown Pleasures exhibition because, you know, everyone is naked as Mama was born them with. But you can see it in a lot of our other artworks. She's got this way of creating every bristle individually until the fur of the creature is as soft as a trapper's rug. And for the last member of the Trinity,
this is our superstar, our secret little jewel, our priestess, our goddess, our diva, Laura Aurelio, aka Smigol, or also known as Goblin from the Italian gobba, hump, or Gollum. Malevolent being.
Okay.
Stock. Too many.
Yes, she's got a lot of names. She's got a lot of identities, but a lot of those identities all share a single idea, and that is divination of the white paper. She's the pioneer of the blank page. She's the one that always starts with all the sketches, and she's the one that creates a lot of the basic designs because she's got long, cold fingers, and she has this sort of touch, this lightness, kind of like snow on a leaf, that just makes it so easy to build on top of it. She's got a way of drawing that's recognizable anywhere. And moving on to the next part of the Trinity. No, wait.
No.
The next part after the Trinity, that is.
This Sleeping Beauty here is Giulia Zini, aka Julia Shining. She is the third queen from the Shining movie of Kubrick. What's happened to her, are you asking? Simply, Kubrick was making a film with her as a protagonist set in the Shining Hotel, but Stephen King threatened him to sue him. So she was fired and left without work until we found her and take her under our wing. She got her fucking reason!
Yeah, exactly. She was absolutely robbed. Let me just say that. She should have been the protagonist of that movie because she's got this special way of taking small things and upscaling them to great proportions, which is exactly what she does with her artworks. She takes the sketches, which usually start at a small dimension, no bigger than our bodies, and together with other members, she upscales them to the large dimensions that we've come to know and love here in the atelier. And I gotta say, I still remember back then during the Triennale performance, which is one of the theaters in Milan. She's an absolutely beautiful dancer. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's a
mesmerizing. She would have been fantastic. Kubrick would have loved her. And moving on to the next one, we have
this guy that he's Matteo Sandrin,
our model. Basically, look at him.
aka Pitbull. He's a perfectionist, pissy, and a lot of touchy personality. And he owes his name to the fact that one day he had the balls to steal the chain that he brings around his neck to a pit bull dog from a mafia gangster from the Canalina. Pit bulls are the favorite dog breed from the gangsters.
Yes, they're a very vicious breed. Not all of them, of course. But Sandrino is not just there to be a pretty face around the atelier. He's also here because he's our contouring specialist. As in, he takes every little detail in our sketches and our drawings, every little thing, even so much as a stain of a coffee mug. He finds something on the page, he will put a line around it. He will enclose it in ink and he will give it life and give it intention. He is the one that highlights everything from what you people call mistake to what is very intentional. Everything gains meaning thanks to his pen.
Next slide, please.
Yes.
This guy here with this hobbit face he's Francesco Mandala. Or Mandala, aka Metta, the Pali word for loving kindness. Seriously, he is the kindest person in the world. That this kindness can be a danger for himself.
Yes, I can concur. He is absolutely one of the kindest and most soft-spoken people I have ever met. And he is also, much like Smeagol, a sketcher. So he doesn't deal with coloring and he doesn't deal with other things of the sort, but he is an absolute expert at drawing, at creating the basis. And he is also a great expert in religious iconography and saints, especially. I dare you, you ask him any day of the year, and he will tell you which saint that belongs to. He's got that thing memorized. He could give a priest a run for his money.
Really, he knows everything from Jesus to Saint Peter.
Yes.
Next slide, please. This, oh my God, how I can talk about him, is one of the two worst elements of the Atelier dell'Errore.
Oh, come on.
Oh, you have no idea how he is. This is Marco Giardino, aka Scotland Yardo, because he is the corrupted policeman from the war species from Pollenatrocchia. He's also known as Giardino because he's a cretino, or Yardo because he's a bastardo, conspiracy theorist, and that makes us listen shitty commercial music every single fucking day until our brains explode like a rodent testicle.
Yeah, I agree. He's got quite bad taste, but don't be fooled by the animosity they feel towards each other. They might despise each other's guts, but at the end of the day, they love each other and they are vital components because they both work on the gold veneer that you can see on a lot of our recent artworks. Nikki Baxter, is the one that lays the glue on top of the drawing, which is a special glue to which the gold leaves, which he lays, stick. And they are both absolute experts. They might have animosity towards each other, but they are indispensable as well to one another. And despite bothering each other, they still share a lot of feelings. Isn't that right?
Not feelings in that sense. We are just frenemies.
Frenemies too?
Ah, fuck off. Next slide, please. This is the second worst element of the Atelier dell'Errore. Much worse than Scotland Yard. This ignoramus, dumbass, protein maniac, Phil Casanova, Chihuahua face.
Very talented.
Is Gianluca De Marco, aka Giangi Giangetto.
Yes, he is our strong man of the atelier. He don't see it because he's got a sweater, but he goes to the gym a lot. No, in fact, you can't see it. Just look at his hand. You can tell that's a hand that's worked in his life. And he's the one that helps us set up all the, what the fuck are they called? The exhibitions. He moves around big old boxes, is what I'm trying to say. And he also helps Zini with the upscaling of the art. And of course, he may be the main one to help her out, but we all help her out when it's time to upscale the art. And moving on to the next member, the last member, in fact, and the newest member, in fact, and the cutest member, in fact.
He is Nico, aka Sid, because he's actually the clone of Sid the Sloth from Ice Age with glasses. Despite his young age, he's in a good way, but he still have a lot to learn, how Atelier dell'Errore works.
Yeah, he's actually had quite a hand in a lot of the works that you can see in the Unknown Pleasures exhibition. And he's just 16 years old. I'd keep an eye on him if I were you, because he is going very far. And I believe he's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The Atelier. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Matteo, and thank you, Nikki. Really, this was incredible. Now, I think we should take a step back in speaking to give a better sense to our listeners to how it works. Like, how is a normal perfect day scheduled in the atelier? And then maybe we can speak a little bit about the past exhibitions you had to give us a better sense of the framing.
A perfect day in atelier starts in the morning. I'm alone in the atelier. I have to set up everything for the job in the afternoon, but also is a special moment to think about the afternoon before, and the things happened before, because Atelier dell'Errore, the artistic process of the atelier is not planned on a drawing table, but you only have to let the things happen during the work, and the day after is very important to try to understand what happened really, and also where are we going, and also how to deal with all the challenge we accept. And the crew, the artists arrive at 2 o'clock, and we start the afternoon with an assembly in which all the people who can talks about things, not only about the ongoing project, but also about things, the news, for instance, the news, the war, and all things that they can't share usually with other people. And after the assembly, we start the real work in which everyone has a special role, a special a special task to figure out, and we work, as I said, all together. That doesn't mean that we work all together on the same artwork at the same time, but we divide also all the special project, the difficulty drawing in a lot of steps. Then we start with a little drawing on a small sheet of paper, and after we enlarge them without correcting anything. That's why our process, our drawing, our creature are in certain way metamorphic, because we never correct anything. So we change. You can start from an ant that you don't see an ant. You don't change the sheet of paper, so you can see an eagle instead of an ant that transforms in a dragon, until you arrive in a precise point in which you don't see anything. This is the golden gate, the golden door, when the invisible creature of the atelier appear, and this is the real point in which the artwork start. And we can have, if you want, an overview if you have any question, Ginevra, about the work.
Yes, I just wanted to briefly show everyone the beautiful shows that you had in the past until now to give us an aesthetic sense. Yes, this is the show that you had in Massimo De Carlo in 2021, and you can kind of see the recurrence of your style and work, always working with these kind of tent or sculptural forms, which we see also in other interventions.
For years, we did a special research to try to change the support of the drawing, to change the way, and don't draw only on paper. And this is the first time in this exhibition that we create a personal designed background. This is called ADETEX. There is the Gore-Tex. ADE is the acronym of Atelier dell'Errore, and so we call this surface ADETEX. Is perfectly waterproof, not transparent like the Gore-Tex, but it's perfect because we dedicated this architects to the owner of the gallery, Massimo De Carlo, that has been hung up by Massimo De Carlo by the American tape. And so we displayed a huge piece of cotton on the floor, and we applied a lot of lines of tape, of red tape, and so we create this kind of background. And this is one tent that we expose in the exhibition, but we use this tent also for the set design of an opera with the maestro Mario Brunello at the Teatro Comunale in Bologna. And this is the first background, the first new support we designed, we invented.
And this is not the same material as the isothermal rescue blankets.
No, this is not the same material. And 2 years later, we made this huge tent for the Generali Foundation, dedicated to a refurbished space by David Chipperfield, architect. And we made this huge tent that is 6 meters wide and 4 meters tall, completely realized with this kind of background, the architects, and then we applied the golden leaf on the architects. That is a difficult task, and also I can see that Nikki Baxter is so energizing in performing, but is the best artist to apply with small brushes the glue on this difficult background. Thank you, Nikki. So let's go on. This is another incredible challenge. We can say the challenges, the impossible challenges, are the fuel of our group. Absolutely. Because if some of our collaborators, technicians, craftsmen, and so on, tell us that it's impossible to realize this kind of work, is impossible to, this is for us a absolutely fuel to give the best of everybody. And here, Palazzo Torlonia, the princess, Donna Olimpia Torlonia, asked us to design, to project a site-specific artwork dedicated to a special room of her palazzo that burned down in 1991. So she refurbished, rebuilt everything, but they are only, obviously, all the furniture or the paintings, all the artworks of the 17th centuries has become ashes. But she told us that when she was crying through the ashes of her palazzo, she found some tiny little small balls of gold. That was the gold melted by the fire from the ceiling. So I asked to my artist to think an artwork recreated by the gold. So starting from a destruction state to renew in a new way. And this is a huge frieze, 22-meter wide and 1.5 meters height. And we create this new way to do a wall artwork in the studio, because we can't go to Rome on the scaffolding with my crew. So we made these special technical panels, prepared panels, and we did all the work in the studio, and then the restorer fixed the artworks permanently on this room. And the title is The Golden Room. the golden camel. Okay, let's go. Oh, this is our last challenge. We won the competition to design the Vela d'Artista, an artist sail for a historical boat called Edipore. Is a boat belonged to Pierpaolo Pasolini. He used this boat for the shooting of Medea in the Venice Lagoon. And when I studied the history of this boat, it was an interesting story about, because after the Second World War, the Italian fishermen used this boat to help to rescue the Italian people on the other side of the new frontier. So at night, this boat helped people, Italian people fleeing to the new frontier. That's why we decided to use a special background that are the isothermal rescue blankets that in Italy is also in all the Europe is symbolizing all the people moving from Africa to Europe. But the special thing, the special challenge was that we didn't want to simply print one of our creature on the sail, but to have our artworks inside the sail, in the core of the sail, as the soul of the sail. So we worked for a month with a great Italian international sailmaker, and we figure out to have inside aramaic fiber core inside. Then we applied 25 rescue blankets on the silver side for one side, and 25 on the other side for the golden side. And so we realized this main sail that is 10 meters tall and 5 meters wide. It's a great challenge.
Thank you, Luca. This was a great rundown of all of your shows. So it's an interesting point because actually a very similar installation is the first work that you encounter in the exhibition at Kaufmann Repetto, which we can see here, that is entitled Freak You, which is also it kind of introduces the edge, the character of the atelier, because in a way, Freak You is obviously a title that is very provocative. It is attempting to rethink, reclaim, and recontextualize a term that has been historically used to marginalize people. And so reinstalled in this, let's say, exhibition, it almost strips away all of its negative connotations and affirms it as a term that is now a symbol of pride and authenticity. So maybe we could speak a little bit more about the works that are in the show. And I know that Matteo and Nikki wanted to come back to speak a little bit more about a specific series.
Yes, this is the entrance. In the entrance, you can find this special sail that we called the Alpine sail, because we displayed this sail for the Dolomite Biennial in Ortisei for 4 months. And then we have another artwork called Jesus' Blood Never Failed Me Yet that introduced the visitor to the main room. We can go to the main room where there is the core of the Freak You exhibition. Okay, and you can go. This is the core. This is the main room. We displayed the Unknown Pleasure series, and we can go straight away with the pictures, because I will love to introduce you to the Unknown Pleasure by Nicky Baxter and Matthew the Gamer. Okay, let's come. Sorry. Come on with the
All
names.
right. Moving on to the first image, Nikki.
Oh.
This super hot being here is the goddess of love herself. Probably we know nowadays better with the Roman name Venus. But now she introduced herself as sexy Aphrodite, which is her scientific name.
Yeah, as you can notice, she's gotten quite an upgrade from her old sculpted form. As you can see, she's got some beautiful Brazilian shaved legs. You know, the belt of love wasn't really cutting it in today's age. So she's got a beautiful shave and she's got some very provocative porn star braids that she's showing off in the current artwork.
Even she doesn't need to be hot, to be in the porn industry to be hot. You know, guys, the sight of this upgrade made her husband Festus and her lover Ares to go wild, but so wild that they lose every sense of decency and modesty they had. And that's all about time. Holy shit, it's all about time.
Yeah, some freaking liberation, even if the Greek gods are already very liberated, to be fair. Maybe we're going a little too far. But before we dwell on it any further, let's move on to the centerpiece, which is
the intersexual shamanessan with her marijuana halo, flowing dreads, eyeliner, and of course, glittery and golden grills. She's escaping from her closest stands that actually are persecuting her since she became famous, stalking her, harassing her, sending her weird stuff.
Yeah, but we're not here to talk about her private life. We are professionals here to talk about the scientific aspect. And the scientific aspect is actually quite fascinating because, as you can see, the shamanessan has perfected both the male and the female form. You can see, for example, the beautiful breasts that he's sporting on his chest, which also double as a vagina. So it's incredible because you can penetrate and you have to look in one single spot. You're not there looking up and down like an idiot and getting a headache. You can look in one spot, and thrust in one spot is optimization to the maximal degree.
Maybe too much.
Yes. And that thing behind him is not her ass. No, that's a testicle. And no, it's not a Randy Marsh situation. I can assure you that. Yes, even if they could be showing him a little less in the newest season, but even then, it's harder to outstay his welcome. But moving on, but getting back on track, his test. We were talking about his massive testicle, which is so potent, so virile, that it doesn't even need a shaft. Just a touch is enough to make you pregnant. Male, female, it will grow an uterus on your hand and make you pregnant.
It's so powerful that it made her fly higher than an state trip.
Nothing will stop that pregnancy. I assure you, I guarantee it. And now, actually moving on, we have...
No, please. We have
Hephaestus,
the god of blacksmiths, that I can say previously, gone wild because of the view of Aphrodite's shaved vagina that go into a violent masturbation procession that made him look like Demi Moore at the end of the substance.
Yes.
Because of an anaphylactic shock.
He was already a hunchback, as we all know, but he's been hunched over, beating his meat for so long that he's got a second hunchback. So he's not just a hunchback, he's a double hunchback. And not just that, his hand has been burned so hard from the friction that it's now nothing but a skeleton. He's not even feeling anything. He is beating it out of pure compulsion.
He lost both his testicles.
Yes, they're completely gone. And he's gotten so obsessed, he's got a cock growing out of his skull. As you can see, multiple cocks growing out of his skull. He has gone completely out of his mind.
Better that he return into his forges in Etna, because jacking off really hurts him.
I don't know about that. He might start using the hammer.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's a
Yeah,
phallic symbol, Thor's hammer.
yeah, exactly. You think?
Move on.
Yes.
Next.
This is Ares, the god of war, but not a video game. He's not the Ares we used to know in the movies or in the myths. He got X-rated and fucked to impotence due to sexy Aphrodite's appetite for sex. But as a god of war, he never gives up in anything, even his drive from cock to testicles.
She's got a far-reaching effect.
Yeah. But as I say, he never gives up in anything. So he decided to attract his insatiable lover by putting an anal orb in his axe that started to play automatically. Sex is goodbye done. My soul to attract the sexy Aphrodite so they can fuck again until death.
Yes, but let's talk about his sex and personal life, because we need to talk about his biology as well, because nobody seems to notice this, because, you know, a dried up limp penis tends to attract attention, but he's actually got a beautiful opaque shell all around his body. You can see the lapis exterior has this beautiful nebulous pattern, and the gold veneer internal to it has these beautiful little ridges and bumps that actually feel quite good to rub against. There's a reason Aphrodite is with him. But even with this shell protecting her from her beastly urges, the sex was still too intense. In fact, the amount of pre-ejaculate that has collected within it has caused cracks to appear, through which there's vines growing out of them. He's like a walking vivarium at this point.
Let's go. Guys, because it's late, I think.
Yes?
Next one.
Yes, we gotta put it on fifth gear.
Yeah, this is the Lesbo Priapa, a porn cinema star promise that came directly from the Vesuvian ashes and the Pompeii frescoes. The worthy hair of Rocco Siffredi, the greatest porn star actor ever, with a Valkyrie physical that looks like she's sculpted by the gods, and the radioactive vagina that I'm sure that made her win some prizes in the porn industry.
Yes, but as for her habits, she tends to hide within crevices and craters to attract and lure males. And speaking of males, to give some context, Rocco Siffredi is an Italian porn star who seems to have, the biggest cock in all of Italy. But frankly, even he is no match for the sheer amount of gamma radiation emanating from her labia. He might lure you in for a good time with promises of a good career, but her choreography is not survivable. There has not been a single actor who has lived to see a sequel.
Let's go now.
Move on.
Next one.
Move on. This
Him.
He's the Polyphemico Nosferatu, a vampiric creature that attracts his victims, mostly men, with a single eye that he have in his face.
Mm-hmm.
He attracts them to suck their sperm through their cocks, because unlike the classical vampires who sucks the blood to the neck of their victims, he sucks the sperm to the cock of his victims.
Yes, he spends most, if not all of his time in flight, as you can see by the beautiful large wings, which have this beautiful pattern. And you can see a giant sack, a yellow sack under his throat. And I know we've been talking a lot about cock and balls, but I assure you, it's not that kind of sack. It's actually a throat sack, which swells up and he uses to bellow these guttural noises. The vibrations so strong that they increase the blood pressure in any male's body, causing an erection even in the most impotent of men. Nothing will stop him from sucking you off.
Next one. Next.
Ah, yes, this is Uranus's testicle, from which Aphrodite was born in Botticelli's famous painting.
After the Titans, his children castrate him, following a plan to detronize him made by Gaia or Gaia. I don't remember. Gaia, okay, Gaia. To take revenge on him for being a shitty husband who the only thing he thought was fucking her 7 days a week instead, making the classical stuffed husband and wives maid. And being a terrible father by throwing his children, the Cyclops, the Titans, the Achatonchires, in the deepest toilets of Tartarus.
Yeah.
Hashtag worst father ever.
Shared. And moving on to the next one, we have one of my favorites and not so relatable, not relatable at all. We have the Porno Morino Nubico, which contrary to his, what the fuck's it called? The thing that digs with the big nose. Contrary to its appearance, he doesn't actually burrow underground, but instead soars in the air and dives into the earth. You can notice that from his calcified snout and his large claws. And no, that claw is a lot larger than it's supposed to be, yeah, because he is hopelessly addicted to pornography. He watches it constantly. He watches it so much, he's got acne developing all over his face. His eye is more red than white from how bright he keeps the screen during the night. And the amount of pornography beats off to, we're talking twinks, we're talking fanboys, we're talking...
Search his Google history for your mental health. You can really find really questionable stuff.
Yeah, maybe it's best to move on before we get the stream shut down.
Next one, please.
Yes.
We have no time.
This being here is the supreme lord, the leader, the god of the penis species. He is Deus Erothanatos.
Yeah. Yes, the Eurekis Erothanatos. Not to be confused with Thanos from the Marvel Universe. Yes, I know he has a giant skeletal glove that can kill anything it touches. And yes, I know he has a large purple member, as you can see there. But he is not to be mistaken with the Thanos from the cinematic universe. I will bring attention to the beautiful pebbles and rocks that he's got coating his back, that he's collected from his trips to Fuerteventura. It's an absolutely beautiful. I miss going to Fuerteventura.
He went down in history for causing the invasion of penis species in San Francisco, California, back in 2019.
Yes. And for the interest of time, we're going to be talking about the last creature we've got. For the interest of time, this is the last one, which is Gaia's transgender vagina.
The primordial goddess of Earth, the fucking origin of the fucking work in Kuber style.
Yes, you remember Uranus's testicle, the beautiful orange bristles that were coating it. You can still see some of them within her labia, because after the transgender operation, she has been flipped over completely, and now her walls are tight enough to crush a neutron star.
This feels like when Loki fucked the horse when he disguised himself as a mare. Do you remember that in Norse myth?
Yes, I don't remember that in the Marvel movies. They're not gonna be showing that, I assure you, no matter how desperate they
Yeah,
get.
Norse mythology is fucked up.
Yeah, so this is the last creature. We're going to be giving some previews of future creatures that you're going to see in the next presentation.
Maybe we don't have
Thank
time.
you, Nikki and Matteo. I think this no one has ever laughed so much in an NSE. But here are a few more shots of the show, which I recommend everyone to go and see. And we had the luck to have Nikki and Matteo performing for us, but there's also an incredible video in the show on the lower floor. And then this beautiful fresco like on the wall. So I think it's something that has to be experienced in person, definitely. And then on a last note, because I know that Nick and Matteo also prepared two poems and performances. I don't know if Luca, there was something you wanted to add before ending
Difficult to add
after
anything,
this.
I think. And so we don't waste time to the last performance they prepared for you. So I don't know the time, but maybe. What do you say, Ginevra? Do we
Yes,
have
I
time?
think, I mean, as a conclusion, something that this show really made me reflect on is that although art, cannot heal anything, any pathology and any problem, it's really a tool to transform lives. And for those that make it, but also for those who enjoy it. And ultimately, this is like a fundamental for art in general. And I think that examples like the Atelier dell'Errore really allow you to, go back, take a step back and be a demonstration of all of this, which is very beautiful.
Thank you.
So I think it's maybe time for Nikki's poem.
Okay. Nikki will present you a sort of cut up from the first 30 cantos by Ezra Pound. Okay, Nikki, we are ready, please. This is the stage.
Dove mi devo mettere?
Qui, va bene,
Ok.
ti vedo, no? Sì. We can adjust the monitor like this. Okay.
Beasts like shadows in glass, a furry tale upon nothingness. Fur brushing my knees, skin, rustle of fairy shifts, giants in the ether, and poor old Tiresias, blind, brought out their wings, nipping between the splay feathers. Snipe come from her bath, at their wing joints, spread wet wings to the sun film. Salmon pink wings of the fish auk cast gray shadows in water. The tower, like a one-eyed great goose, cranes out of the olive grove. A black cock crows in the sea foam. An old man seated, speaking in the low drone. The old voice lifts itself, knocking at empty rooms, seeking for buried beauty. And the old man went on there, beating his mule with an asphodel. A man with no fortune and with a name to come. Poor old Tiresias, blind, blind.
Thank you, Nikki. It was so beautiful, really.
So if we have time, we can go to
Matteo's.
Theo. Ok.
Thank you. Fuck you all.
Ah, aspetta, mica adesso ci siamo. Spegni le luci qua.
We are going to Matteo's performance. Sure.
God, to illuminate all men, beginning with Skid Row. Let Occidental and Washington be transformed into a higher place, the plaza of eternity. Illuminate the wielders in shipyards with the brilliance of their torches. Let the crane operators lift up their arms for joy. Let the elevators creak and speak, ascending and descending in awe. Let the straight flower bespeak its purpose in straightness, to seek the light. Let the crooked flower bespeak its purpose in crookedness, to seek the light. Let the crookedness and the straightness bespeak the light. Let who gets down be a blessed light. I feed on your name like a cockroach on a crumb. This cockroach is holy.
This is a personal version of Psalm 3 by Allen Ginsberg. And so I think it's late. What do you think, Ginevra?
I think it was so special and beautiful, and that if whoever has question can open up, I'm sure there's going to be plenty. So, if Matteo, grazie, veramente speciale.
Niki, tu, vieni qua, Niki. Lascia un po' di spazio anche per te.
Siamo scalchi.
Thank you both so much. I'm thanking you from everyone, I'm sure. And now, if it's okay with you guys, we will leave some time for questions. If you would like to answer with Luca, or I think it would be very special to have you here in this moment too.
We have two questions from the audience. First is from Martha Laird. Could you describe the process the artists go through in going from known animal to the figures you end up painting?
The animals is the only subject we have, and we have such a huge archive that sometimes it's enough to take off from our archive a kind of animal and trying to reproduce it, obviously without erasing anything. And every time the creature transforms itself, and so the process is in some way you could say simple thanks to the long story we work together. You have to know that we worked together with Georgia for 18, 19 years, and all the others from we worked together for 15, 16, 12 years. Such a huge amount of time created a sort of organism in which everyone has a specialization, and to have only one theme is obviously help for everybody. And I decided to have only one theme because when I was working in the hospital, I had only 15 minutes for for each group, and so we waste a quantity of time thinking what I can draw today, a flower, a ball, my mother, and so on. So I had to decide only one theme, and we trust in this intuition since today.
Yeah. Our last question is from Janice. Is the atelier influenced by other collectives, for example, KOS? Are the members of the atelier paid?
We are not influenced by the other collective because I think there are no other collective like us, but Tim Rollins and KUS is the most close example like us to have a sort of collective in which they are so mixed, the artists creating the collective and all the artists that discover in themselves this artistic soul, and effectively Tim Rollins and KUS is the only collective that in some way is similar to us, but Tim Rollins worked in the 80s in the south of New York, in the south of Bronx, with people that had only social problems. Here is different because I started the project into the neuropsychiatric department of the hospital. Is such a different kind of special men and women environment. So, but I know we love a lot the work of Tim Rollins and KOS.
Yes, that's a very impressive connection. Good job on making it.
It's awesome.
It's the only one, I think, similar to our collective. Unfortunately, Tim Rollins passed away some years ago.
Yeah,
but maybe
that sucks.
KOS is still working. That is.
Yes, KOS still operating?
When I will pass away, you can still work to.
Yeah,
That is
we
the
will
hope.
work together.
Okay. Well, our last question is going to come from Fong.
Well, sorry.
It's coming from me, Luca. Grazie. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao. Grazie mille. I was thinking of look at the drawing. I can't help but think of Walls. You remember Walls, the German photographer?
Sure.
He died early. I think he died when he was 37, 38, but he studied ethnography before commit himself to painting and drawing. But I personally love his drawings because they appear this very unusual personal deployment of psychic automatism. There's nothing like it. He used drip, scratching lines, a certain degree of free spontaneity, and I I can't help but to think the way that the drawing evoking that similar sense of freedom. Of course, yours is very particularly focused and in the narrative.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, that was my question, whether you have thought of it, of Wool's drawing particularly.
Yes, no one of my artists had art on their table, as you say in Italy. But it's so strange the fact that inviting them to stay for a long time inside an ambient structured as an artist studio, some of them discovered inside this special kind of way of expression. But I only want to underline that we stay away for all our history from the outsider art and such like this, because I think we don't want to be close in another little part, in a little bubble, and also because there is a difference between outsider art and our way of working, because they start to draw, to making art all together since they were so children, so
Mm-hmm.
little boy, and no one of them wanted to be an artist. This is
Mm-hmm.
very important. And having problem at school, they didn't do art lessons and so on. So I appreciate so much their freedom, because
Yeah.
nobody teach them to draw the trees with a straight trunk and so on.
Yeah, I joined the place when I was 13 years old, and now I'm 22. I've been here for almost more than 10 years next year.
Times change.
I've been here almost my entire life.
Unbelievable. I'm so impressed. You're both so growing up and wise.
Oh.
And I was thinking also Byron on the Tree. You remember the Italo Calvino?
See?
It's so much like that.
Italo Calvino, yes.
Tree,
Sure.
Byron on the Tree. Okay.
Barone era
I
in
mean,
Italiano.
Barone Rampa. I got that.
Sì,
I get
certo.
around to
Barone
reading
era-
it. Yes.
Exactly.
Don't spoil it. I need to read it still. I have it in my library. I haven't opened it yet.
One of our favorite book, but we don't want to pass our life on the trees. We buy art. We go down from the trees to meet people, and so that's why we are so proud to be New York, because we need New Yorker. We need that people knows our operation, our long history, and so thank to be there.
Can't wait to see the show. Can't wait. Grazie mille. Back to you, Min.
Grazie,
Been a
ciao a
pleasure.
tutti.
Been a pleasure.
Ciao Ginevra, grazie mille.
Ciao, è stato un
Ginevra!
Ciao.
Ciao, Fong.
See you.
And
Bye, guys.
We're not saying bye just yet.
Ciao,
Thank you to dell'Errore
Thank you
and
very much.
Ginevra. Thank you, Victor
Can
and
we
David from
find the
Kaufman
recording
Petto.
Sorry.
For their support in preparing for today's event. We'd also like to thank the Chera Foundation for American Art for sponsoring our NSE program and making these daily conversations possible, and for their support of our growing archive, which you can view on the Rails YouTube channel. The Rail has been free and independent for 24 years. A donation directly supports our writers, production staff, and operations. You can support our work through the link in the chat and join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. for a conversation with Maria de Victoria, Julia Trotta, and Amanda Glebisi on artists and mothers. And as it is a Rail tradition, you can now turn on your microphone and say goodbye as you leave.
Thank you.
Ciao,
Thank you,
Fong.
everybody.
Thank you so much. That was
Been a blast.
that was awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Grazie, Chiara. Thank you,
Thank you,
Chiara.
Fong.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank y'all. That was
Thank you.
That was
amazing.
the best ever. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.